Now, what do I mean by being responsible for my life? Where does it begin? Because I endeavour to be practical in everything that I say, to bring it right down here to earth. No believing in anything, no wishing for anything, no hoping for anything, but being responsible for my life. How do I begin that process, which is so rare on this planet? Well, first of all, I begin by seeing when I am not responsible for my life. And when is that, Barry? I am not responsible for my life when I blame someone else for my life, for what they've done to me, or when I accuse someone else for what has happened in my life. Are you hearing me, please? Again. If I blame someone else for what has happened in my life, then I certainly am not responsible for my life, am I? Someone else is. If I accuse another of doing something in my life, then I am not responsible, because I've already named someone else as being responsible for part of my life. So the first thing I have to do to start being intelligent, which is to start being responsible for my life, is not to blame or accuse any other. This is a very rare thing to ever be done on this earth, isn't it? Because you hear everyone blaming everyone for their life, day in and day out, including yourself. In your mind or in your emotions, for instance. When you hold resentment against someone, you are accusing them of something, of doing something to your life. So you are not being responsible. You can see how rare it is for anyone to be responsible for their life. I cannot accuse or blame anyone for any part of my life. I can certainly thank people for the wonderful things they have done for me in my life, but that's not accusing anyone, is it? That's a movement of gratitude, of goodness, of rightness, of thank you. Two different worlds. Now, all this we have covered in these 13 days. And so much else about the cosmos, about the wonder of the universe, how the scientist only sees the universe moving because he's only looking at one part of it. And as soon as you look at one part of life or existence, it starts to move. Whereas really, the whole of it never moves, because intelligence never moves. It's unwavering and it's always there, like love. But if you look partially at your love life, if you look at your love life through the screen of what you want and what you expect, then you're going to find that your love life keeps moving. You love this one today, but you're unhappy tomorrow. You love another one tomorrow, but you're unhappy the next day. You're battling all the time because you are looking at part of your love life. Well, to me, my love life is not just a love of woman, and particularly the love of the woman that I live with, but it is a love of all life. It is a love that doesn't have any difference between the life that is in me and the life in the trees or the rabbits or anything. That doesn't mean that something shouldn't die or something shouldn't be killed. Because all that gets killed or dies is a form of life. It is not life. Life is untouchable. There it is in your body and my body now, this moment. Keeping it animated, keeping it here, making me still able to sense the well-being in the body, which is my life that I sense. So my life, though, begins with, or did begin, when I was an ordinary man. It began when I started to love something greater than myself. And each of you here, you couldn't be here if you hadn't started to love in some subtle way something greater than yourself. That's why if anyone leaves, is left in these 14 days, and I know that one person who has, it's because they can't stand it. It's not right for them. It's too true. It's too real against their expectations of what love and life and truth are. And that's one of the virtues of life and of this teaching. If something's not right for you, you have to leave it. But it could be that you're not right yet enough to be there, couldn't it? Now, one of the most important things that we did in these 14 days was when I revealed to you the 4 stages of the meditation that Barry Long teaches, especially the last stage. And I'd like us to go through those stages now, which is a practical demonstration, practical in your life. And when you go home, when you leave this rarefied atmosphere that we have been in here for 14 days, where you don't have any of your usual problems arising, which is a great, wonderful blessing to be in such an atmosphere for 14 days and be able to look with intelligence into your body and see the truth of what is being said without any belief system operating. But when you go home, it's going to be different. You are going to be different. But the world that you walk back into, of all your relationships, of all your friends, of your job, of your children that are at home, of your partners that couldn't come, when you walk back into that, that's not going to be different. The question is, can you be the speed of intelligence that you have developed here in the presence of that is still as unintelligent as it was then? Well, you'll have to see, won't you? But you have to know that the possibility is that as soon as you walk back into your old life, it starts to act like a brake on your intelligence. It's just like a disc brake coming against a moving wheel. It starts to stop the speed of the wheel. Very subtly, hardly able to be registered by our surface minds. But then you have to keep the intelligence as much as you can at the same speed. You have to endeavour, for instance, not to get into the same discussions that you used to get into, not the same telephone calls because you want to know what someone's doing when you don't need to know. Not the old habitual practices that went on there. Not sufficient talk about love, life, truth, death, or God, or the reality of love between man and woman. It's going to suck at you, and it's going to slow you down if it can. So whatever you've learnt at this seminar that needs to be done in your life, and you do know of something, don't overlook it. It was so obvious here, so clear. But when you start thinking about the past and start walking back into the past, it will not be so clear, and you are likely to make excuses that you can't do it. You can do anything. It is your life. You can do anything. Only fear stops you. And one of the ways of keeping yourself intelligent is to practice the meditation that I have introduced you to, and to practice it often. And it is such a meditation that you don't have to wait and put on your meditation clothes and get the incense going and all the rest of that bullshit. You can do it at any time, like now. Like now. Remember that the first stage of Barry Long meditation is that you seriously and sincerely examine in your own body, which means any emotions there in your chest or your stomach of resentment against any other human being. It is unholy to harbour resentment against any other human being in your life, no matter what. Because resentment against anyone starts here as an emotion in this body listening to these words. And that emotion of hurt, of blaming, of accusing, sticks in your stomach. And when it can, it gradually rises up into the chest. When it's in your stomach, you can feel quite uncomfortable, confused and unhappy. When it rises to your chest, you can get a band of tightness across your chest. You can find it difficult to breathe in some extreme cases. This is your emotional prisoners choking you, choking your system up, blocking it, your own emotions. And then when the free flow of life is unable to go through the whole body freely, your brain gets affected, and that affects your mind, and you can't stop thinking, and you can't stop worrying, and you lie awake at night when your body should be re-healing itself after the days of effort in existence. You're lying awake there, unable to sleep, and denying your body the repose that it needs, because you have kept prisoners, emotional prisoners in your body, instead of allowing the free flow of life every moment to purify you and your body. So the first practice is to sincerely and seriously examine any resentment you have against anyone. Doesn't matter what they did to you in the past. It is not necessary to be resentful of it. Everything happens because it happens. When you personalize what happens to you, it turns into resentment, accusations, or blaming. And the terrible thing is that it's not hurting that person out there who hurt you in the past. It's hurting you here. You are flogging yourself, not the other. So in all your actions, in all your interactions with people, you have to be intelligent enough to see if there is resentment against anyone. You have to see it in the moment, because you'll be able to hide it. The mind and emotions are the most cunning, horrible things on this existence. They're not true. And they're called the self, yourself. And they'll hide it from you. They'll hide it from your conscious focus, your intelligent focus. And you'll say, I don't resent anyone. But I'm telling you, it's only in the moment of interaction with people that you discover where your resentments are. Do you hear me? It's in the moment that that's revealed. We can't believe a thing you're saying now. If you say you haven't got any resentments, you just have to keep looking at your reaction to events. And when you see it, depending how serious you are and how sincere you are, to be more intelligent, I suggest, horror of horrors, that you go up to the person you resent most and say, may I speak to you, please? I don't want anything of you, please. I just want to tell you something. I'm doing this for myself, not for you. This is for me, if you wouldn't mind. I have to tell you that I hold a resentment against you. I'm resentful because I imagine that years ago you did something to me that hurt me deeply. Now, I'm not blaming you. This is my fault, not yours. Because I'm holding on to it. And I don't want this in me anymore. And I thank you for listening to me and not saying anything back, because I'm not looking to get anything from you. I don't want your forgiveness or anything else. Please, please don't say that. I just want you to hear me so that I can get rid of this terrible thing inside of me called resentment. And now, thank you for listening, and please don't reply. Thank you for allowing me to say this. Thank you.